Shall I say hi?
And you're live. Yep, you can introduce yourself and all
Hi
that
there.
stuff.
Hi, my name is Paul Woods, and I'd like to read some poems for you. Um, these are new poems that I've written fairly recently, and the first one is about ice cream. I thought I'd begin on a light note. Um, let's write a poem about ice cream. Yeah, ice cream. The children gather on the corner, waiting for the bell to ring. The ice cream man is coming to bring you, me, frozen on a stick, bringing out the child in you, happy smiles to go around. Ice cream is a language without words. My cold, refreshing taste should melt in your mouth, not your hand. So don't put me down. Enjoy me while you can. I'll make you happy, maybe give you brain freeze if I'm cold enough. When you hear the ice cream bell, that's me coming. I'm on the way to make your day. This next poem is called Time Out, and it's about the past, actually, trying to bring the past up into the present, using visuals and recording. Time Out. We found snapshots of great-grandma and pa when they were young, without a clue what lay ahead when they looked the camera in the eye. The candle I have lit in my own eye reflects the blind faith of pure flame. Heroic verse of bards on tour with Joan of Arc with her army band, smiling back from album covers, flying off the shelves in record stores, better late in life than never to celebrate her true vinyl colors. Do you believe? Do you believe the sky keeps an eye on the beach? The currents reaching farther, deeper down past the lightness, the roots of darkness watch us shuttle toward the stars. Do signs marked unknown get turned around just to keep us guessing? Is the beyond finite, like us, free to turn the corner past the point of no return? Do you believe in celestial beings? Are we the stuff angels are made of, looking for rainbows in the moonlight? In our day jobs, we are rock climbers. In our dreams, we reach for thinner places. Why not inherit the wind and call it a day? This next one is called Critic's Voice. Instead of Critic's Choice, Critic's Voice. And it's about a young playwright. And it's also about how sometimes creativity is crushed by things that people say. Critic's Voice. On opening night, the young playwright overheard during intermission, "This is terrible." And that was all he heard. Everyone else kept talking over him, gone to the restroom, the bar, or both. The actors finished all their lines. The curtain fell. The lights came up. That same voice spoke up again. What are they trying to say? The playwright did not make a scene. He knew enough to know his place. And when they asked him what he thought, the playwright shrugged a simple smile, determined not to let them think he knew he wasn't good enough. His play was in the drawer at home, would never see the light of day. Art is beauty. Beauty is art. Mannequins are transferred onto canvas white as snow. Max Factor's airbrush makes them up to look beautiful. Flowers holding petals as they dance stem to stem. Keats himself renews a vow to beauty. Thou art forever. Soft woodwinds and softer yet strings are playing in the key of reds, blues, blonde on blonde. Beethoven, on loan from the Classical Cafe, drops by to take notes that no one else can hear. The next poem is called Bat Cave. Actually, most of these poems are works in progress, but Bat Cave is, it's not about Batman. It's about bats, and it's about fear. Bat Cave. The reports that we were getting said another ground attack was coming. A chapel in the battle zone was spared destruction in the fray. The entrance looked foreboding, sitting out there all alone. There were bats in the chapel, dressed in black. Hundreds of them hung inverted in the dark, wings folded tight enough to hide inside, evading them, forcing me to pray outside. On the beach, I watched the tide creeping up on the beach, coming to the end of its cycle. On the beach, a title by Neville Shute, coming to the end of the world. First the sky and the ocean, then the wind and the fire. A man with gray beard surf casting, a boy with a kite learning how to fly. I'm floating like an ice cube in the deep end of the pool, waiting for a lifeguard to come walking across the water. The next poem is called Mondo Art, and I've read this before, but I've done some work on it, and it's about Marilyn Monroe. It's about the real Marilyn Monroe. It's told from the point of view of the real Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean. Mondo Art. I was becoming, said the model to the artist, who kept the canvas hidden, adding flowers to your hair as they watched you being born again. When my time was up, you were transferred onto film. I was left on someone's doorstep, and they took you home to Hollywood, a star-painted gold leaf loosed upon the world. I wait off camera in the viewing room, or the green room if I'm lucky, hoping you get held up in traffic, happy to go on in your place. I don't exist except in the gift shop where you left a paper trail of sketches. I bought one just the other day to see if I could copy what I see. I'll never be an artist, I'm afraid. Just like you and I will never be the same. I think about how close I came to being you, all alone up there on your pedestal. And then Mondo 2. I think about the stars as someone to look up to. The ground beneath gives life support. The sky gives us pause to wonder where we come from. Immigrants we truly are. I picked up my brush to paint the moon on sunset and wandered through the stars looking for you. So far away, the lights kept blinking on and off. The windows of the night painted midnight blue. The bus left the station, not the train they threw you under. The lonelier it gets, the higher up you have to climb. I can't imagine what it's like to hit your bottom. to walk the night rope. Day becomes the moon, looking so hot and yet so cool, hanging out with stars, wearing black velvet, full-figured when it's that time of the month to shine and be noticed and even worshipped. The next piece is actually a prose poem. It's part of a longer piece that I wrote called This Old House, and getting perspectives from all the different rooms in the house. And this scene is titled The Attic. One thing about being the attic, even though I'm pretty much ignored by everyone, I occupy the penthouse on the top floor. In case you haven't noticed, the last flight of stairs ends at my door. My floor is your ceiling. The roof is all that separates me from the stars. I might be ignored, but I'm not forgotten. I store things for all seasons, including your memories. I'm in the dark most of the time, shut away from the rest of the house. I'm like a hideout where no one ever thinks to look. I'm usually cold in winter, hot and humid in the summer. I'm the most neglected room in the house, but with all my downtime, I have all the time in the world to think. Sure, it's lonely at the top, but I count my blessings. A new roof over my head stopped the leaks. The sound of rain is like music to my ears. I can listen to the wind outside all day and night. I can hear the muffled soundtrack that the humans make beneath my floorboards. If you forget to turn out my light, I can examine the contents of your storage at my leisure. Every so often, you come up with another box to add or remove or just move things around. When the moving van arrives, it's like we're having a clearance sale. Everything has to go. It feels haunted when I'm empty because all I have are memories. Time stands still when you have to wait for a new tenant. Sometimes I hear voices, doors opening and closing. It might be cleaners or painters or realtors hosting an open house. Maybe it's my imagination. These things usually don't take long, but I am almost always the last to know. You'd be surprised how many buyers never make it up here until it's time to move in. I hear every creak in the wood. I feel the mice running around. Their tiny feet tickle, actually. That snake sliding across my floor must be food shopping again. At present, I feel the vibration of music through the teenage ceiling, loud, heavy bass, like the pounding heartbeat of a giant. It's been raining. That's outside my jurisdiction. The world must be crying, but how would I know? Take a short break here. Okay. These poems are a few years old. I still take them out and work on them. The first one is called Music Room. I heard the sounds of music playing low, but clear enough to recognize the voice. Bobby Vinton, I whispered, lying on the floor, humming the melody of Mr. Lonely. Glassy-eyed from too much wine, the lights came up to shine on me. The floor was smooth as glass that sent me spinning to the sound, and the fog inside my head began to lift the voice of Roger Daltrey all around me, shouting to the world, "I'm free." The drums became the backbeat of my heart. The bass gave me back my life. When the black hole from where I came tried to draw me back inside, The electric lead grabbed hold of me and played a long and winding riff that turned the tide. So when my full moon rising gets me down, I turn the dial in search of Mr. Lonely. He's out there somewhere, on the air, on his own, showing me the way back home. The Dance of Shadows, recited to the sound of drums and flute for wind and birds. The Dance of Shadows. Naked air went roaming through the urban forest, looking down on canopies of tall buildings, trees made of steel and glass growing up on the street, birds surfing the empty sky, falling from high places like the cliff divers of Acapulco. Led by their maternal chieftain, Tiger Lily, a dozen braves were gliding by like mist down off the mountain. In and out of shadow traffic, they slipped on through the glade, past the faded plains of thunder rolling under steep adobe cliffs. Wind instruments began to whisper, drums raised their voices to the spirits all around, reaching out to Tiger Lily in her native tongue. Her body of water kept moving with the current of the trees along the riverbank, wished that she would dance with them like summer smoke, where everything that rises must converge. The Seagull. I thought about the idea for this poem during a hurricane, the seagull, wondering what birds do, you know. I mean, like the wind is coming and there's a storm. Where do the birds go? I'm a seagull flying low over water, being chased by a squall closing in. Thrown into the rush of things, I start moving up a dark ladder of wind that shakes like a building during an earthquake. The ocean below has fallen away, swallowed up by a force bent on pulling me apart, feather by feather. I must fly with faith and be true. I must listen to the navigator of my heart, changing course without hesitation, trusting the voice of a blind compass to guide me as the wind tries to rip me from the sky. The way of flight is to keep turning, twisting, rising all the way up to a hole in the sky, an eye at the end of the tunnel, a place of peace where the spirit can find respite from a world trying to tear us apart. When the wind is spent, the sky and ocean settle down. My seagull surfs a gentle thermal wave that stops to float on quiet water. I come ashore and walk on dry sand like a star that fell to earth. The next poem is called Perhaps, and I wrote this after looking at a painting showing a young woman running through the grass toward a tree, and behind her was another person, a man, I think, who was either running after her or he was watching her. I don't know which, but I had to write something, and this is what I did. It's called Perhaps. The wind can't be seen, but I see a gentle wind caressing as you cross a field of grass like a river flowing green. There's another in the picture behind you, watching you lean toward that solitary tree of life. Perhaps he's the artist painted in himself, and he's sent you on ahead to find the truth. Perhaps you're the artist trying to lead him on because he's too afraid. I can't see the other's face. I can't see yours either. Perhaps you're both the artist, sharing a vision. Perhaps you're telling me that beauty can turn a blind eye to the beholder. On board, I wrote this after taking a cruise on board. We cruise beneath the stars, 2 miles above the ocean floor. Calm seas rock us through the night at 20 knots. We fall asleep without a care till daylight comes aboard. The sliding glass you open takes a breath of ocean air. Time is moving forward through the water. The earth is turning, running track around the sun. To get from bed to bath, you have to walk on water, softly tipping starboard back to port, just to use the toilet. Shower running fresh and warm like summer rain. Gray is the color of the ocean. Clear is the sky all the way to the horizon, like a line that someone drew across the bow. Down below, the planet Earth is holding up the water. The ground beneath your feet is called the deck. A delicate balance stays afloat, or we would sink beneath the waves like lost Atlantis. Where thoughts are waiting. You're trying to come back home, but the invisible wall is still up, spoiling the view. Your transatlantic blue eyes are walking past the cottage by the sea, staring at the black hole we keep chasing. The ocean has a midsummer chill. The moon can see you walking back and forth across the waves. I wake up lying on the couch, facing the door, not trying to open your eyes, but you finally do. The cottage has half walls sticking up out of the sand. Daylight's coming through the porthole in the shower. I hate feeling seasick, and I imagine being young again, turning back the pages like years in a scrapbook. I keep a bookmark there, a place in life I can run to and be safe, like when Daddy was still around and we weren't afraid to say good morning to the world. The next one is called Apparitions of Soul on Mist. I don't know where that title came from, but I liked it, you know. And it's about a veteran returning from a conflict, from war. And I'll just have a brief introduction about the filmmaker Ingmar Bergman, a Swedish filmmaker. He released a film called The Seventh Seal in 1957. His main character, Antonius, has returned from 10 years of holy war to face a bleak world decimated by plague. I had read that this was an analogy to nuclear war. New Year's Eve, 1967, Hollywood, California. Like Antonius Bloch, the night of Bergman's Seventh Seal, I am on a quest to find God. Just back from the crusade in Southeast Asia, technically listed as being alive, I am quite invisible, as you can see. I could slide down Hollywood Boulevard on bended knee, barking like a trained seal. No one would notice me. I see Karloff's creature with cameras rolling, standing on the corner with a child in his arms, like he's mourning the loss of a friend killed in action. No one's paying attention, and the traffic light won't turn green so he can move on with his life. On the Boulevard of Dreams, this feels like the weight of the world pushing down. In my vision, I grab the child, lift it over my head, and start running for the border. But which one? In the wake of holy war, unable to catch even a glimpse of our heavenly Dad. I'm at a loss. I need it spelled out for me like salvation for dummies. I can't find God in church. He's never home. I leave messages on the voicemail, but my calls are not returned. What about the rebel down below? If I could have a moment of his time, or at least speak to his agent on the phone, could I claim to know him indirectly? I see Boris, my buddy, has fled the scene, perhaps to sign on for another blood drive. Now there's a guy who can act. I ask you, is my quest for God in vain? If only you could see, as I do, all these long lost souls floating down the river of dreams. Look at me, holding this poor child up to the light, turning him, squeezing him like I'm shopping for fresh vegetables at the supermarket. The next poem is called Eve of the Breeze, the evening breeze, with dedicated to Eve. My dear evening breeze, you paint the glow of autumn on the trees, touching up the limbs of life. The colors on your palette match the leaves that fall below. Long ago, when you were mortal, your grace and beauty met a stranger in disguise who was out to win your restless heart. With lies and deception, temptation was the prize, and the price of lost youth became the blues that you still sing. My dear evening breeze, I smell the scents of spring on your breath. I feel your tender touch against my skin. In affairs of the heart, there is no sin. You are pure as the summer wind. A snowflake. The forecast called for snow. The cloud that gave me life now pushed me out the door, and blinded by the height, I was floating almost weightless toward the whiteness down below. A gust of wind blew me toward the window where you slept. I hung there from the glass, looking in at the nightlight by your bed. I know the morning light will bring the sunshine back another day. I guess I'm just a lonely snowflake trying to play it cool before I melt away. And we have a stranger to my own consciousness. A dream riddle is never meant to be solved. The night is always open to suggestion. The moon will always find you, and though the sun can blind you, we are drawn to the warmth of its heart. Warmth gives us hope. It helps us plan for tomorrows that will always be today. I look around and wonder, am I out of mind, out of sight, out of touch with what there is to feel? Am I a stranger to my own consciousness? My dream is when I notice that your shadow is a jaguar gliding gently through the jungle of my soul. Life is dear. Life is dear. I think I'm dedicating this to someone that I met a long time ago. He was a patient in a state hospital in New York. Life was dear. Life was dear. Every moment, every breath, every insult, every wound I thought would never heal. It was always life I chose. Life was all you had when they shut the door and locked you in, naked and afraid. Life was precious, no matter how much pain or grief or fear. Life was dear. Overhead we heard the drone of Allied planes, and there were some who wanted bombs to fall on us. Our keepers must have known the end was near. Everyone I knew and loved and lost, even the hateful guard who stopped the line when I was next. I still pray for them. You look at where I live today as a kind of prison. You drive on past the buildings that seem detached from the world. That's me keeping the grounds, mowing the lawn, bagging leaves that keep blowing around. I'm a patient here, you see, still a ward of the state, still holding on for dear life. Up on the roof, I was feeling like a kite that someone cut to set us free. Down on the beach, you had an afterburner glow in your eyes. Across your body of water, I saw 1,000 lights staring back like Ziegfeld diamonds holding hands. The tide was turning butterflies. The moon looked almost too full. The surf was breaking on the shore like a weary traveler falling into a comfortable chair. Moonbeams flew like fireflies across the room. Shadows played like silent children on the walls and on the ceiling. Up on the roof, the chorus lines were hung like ornaments on a Christmas tree. Electric angels full of grace were flying in from the cold. The question. I imagine a sunset lake or a peaceful mountain, closing my eyes, falling away, the shadow of you in the next room, alone with my thoughts. My inner visions come to life in motion picture stills. A seductive German Marlene Dietrich fading to Lauren Bacall, a Jewish New York model before she married Hollywood. Fading to people without faces, trapped in the open, looking for some place to hide. I'm there somewhere on my silent screen, caught up in the blur of feet running, planes flying over, some of us praying for the bombs to fall now, on the camp, on us, end it now. Looking at my inner screen, I wonder, was I Jew or SS? I leave it up to you. You have the envelope. You have the answer written in blood. I'm afraid to ask. Was it me outside the gas chamber, closing the door on you? Or was it you, locking the door behind me? I'm going to take a short break here.
I'll take a break and then keep going, or you,
I'm going to stop. Yeah.
okay, so just say, just tell them thank you or whatever. Tell them you're all done. Just say you're all done.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for listening. I think we're done for now.